for campaigns.
Very interesting. Earl Barnes was the county chairman, the county Republican chairman.
Okay.
He's now deceased. So after I win a primary, Earl calls me up on the phone and he says, I want to see you at Republican headquarters and we've got something for you. I thought, maybe I'm going to get a donation from him. Pretty good. So I go down and we have a half-hour conversation, and it was kind of bloody primary, and he said, I've got something for you. And he opens his desk drawer and he pulls out 2 boxes of matches, lays them on the table, and he says, this is for your campaign. And it says, elect Finan, Senator, 7th Senate District.
Give you 2 boxes of matchboxes?
Too bad. In those days, smoking was still permitted everywhere.
Right, so people are smoking, so you can hand out the matches, and then people...
Well, my father was a salesperson, and he sold food to restaurants and institutions east of Vine Street.
Okay.
So he'd take the matches, he'd take them in, and he'd say to the owner, you mind if I put these on tables? No, it's okay. Every place he went. So the matches were a good use.
That's great.
Good use. But we were able to win that race, and we, by one senator, took control of the Ohio Senate.
That year.
It turned from Democrat to Republican.
Okay.
17-16.
This would have been in 78.
Well, the election was 78, so it would have been in 79.
79 that the turnover happened. Yeah. Okay.
So, great.
That's great. Yeah.
So, now, usually in the Senate, it's by time and grade. If you've been there a while, you can get a good chairmanship and so forth and so on. But I was and I had passed a number of bills, so I wasn't unknown to the other senators in the situation. So, but I applied for the things that I was at that time knowledgeable of, which was judiciary and local government, to be on those committees. So the number 2 guy in the Senate calls me on the phone and he says, we're going to make you chairman of Ways and Means. I said, Ways and Means? That's taxes and money, and I've never been involved in that. He says, well, we don't see much happening in taxes. We don't see much happening with money. And he says, by the way, the person who was handling workers' comp and unemployment compensation committee, he doesn't want that, so we're moving that over to Ways and Means also. I said, well, that's okay. And he says, oh, by the way, the insurance committee, or the guy that had insurance, he didn't want that either, so we're moving that over to Ways and Means. So I'm done. I don't know what's going on. I thought, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing that happens that year, we have a budget deficit.
In 79.
79. Big budget deficit. I'm trying to think. It could have been 80. It may have been the election was 79, and it could have been I took office at 80. But anyway, so our budgets have to be done by June 30th of the following year. We're on bienniums, fiscal years, not calendar years. So June 30th comes and we don't have a budget. And we're doing continuing resolutions all summer long.
To keep everything funded.
Keep them running. And finally, and I wind up, because I'm chairman of Ways and Means, I wind up on the conference committee between the House and Senate trying to work this thing out. So one day I suggested to him, look, what about having budget targets whereby if we don't reach this target of income, we have to cut $300 million.
So that you don't get yourself in a deficit crisis.
Any further. So we put 3 of those in, $900 million. And 2 days before Thanksgiving, we got the budget passed. Finally. I'm driving to a meeting of the Ohio Education Association at Scarlet Oaks, which is our job training group here in Ohio. It's after high school kind of thing.
Okay.
And the Office of Budget Management comes on, and he says, we've immediately taken the $900 million in cuts, and we're still $500 million in the hole. I almost said, turned around the car, went home and pulled up the covers and went back to bed.
Oh my gosh.
But I went back to Columbus, and we sat down, myself and one or two of my staff, and we start at night going through this budget line by line by line by line. And we cut until we got it balanced.
What was the holdup in passing a budget? Why did it take so long?
School funding.
School funding.
School funding. That was the big thing. How were we going to... We have a school formula that's changed a number of times over the years, but school funding was the major issue when I went to the General Assembly, and it was still a major issue when I left the General Assembly 30 years later. School funding is always a problem. We have 615 school districts in Ohio, and they range from like Russia, Ohio, which has maybe 500 kids in the whole school, K through 12, to school districts like Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, which are huge.
Thousands of kids, yeah.
But we have one formula, and it has to fit everybody in that formula. And then you have pockets like Eastern Ohio, out in Appalachia. A lot of poor people out there. They can't afford tax levies for their schools. And so the state was providing, with a formula, many of the monies that went to those schools. So every 2 years, it's a job to put together a school funding formula that sells soap with 160 or 615 school districts in the thing.
Right.
And that was the problem then. So we got it all cut. By April, I had it ready, my bill. I took it to Senator Gilmore. He was then, he later became a congressman. He was the president of the Senate. I said, look, here's my plan. If you like it, I'll introduce it. If you don't like it, it goes in the garbage can.
Right.
He said, put my name on it. Put my name on it. Senator Aronoff came in right behind him, and he says, put my name on it too. He was the number 2 leader. Put my name on it also. So I introduced the bill, and it passed the Senate, went over the House, changed, and then came the conference committee.
So this is after you had already passed a budget? Now this is a revised budget?
This is revised budget.
Okay.
A new appropriation.
Okay.
The conference committee is when you try to work out the problems between the House and the Senate.
Right.
You have to reconcile their different stuff. And on the conference committee was the number 2 guy from the Senate leadership, Tom Van Meter. And it was also a year of a Republican gubernatorial primary.
This is a big year.
He is running for governor of the state of Ohio in the primary. He won't come to any meetings of the conference committee. I can't get him there.
Why?
He didn't want to vote on it because any place he went, he felt it would destroy or hurt his gubernatorial chances of winning in the primary. So one night, I heard he's having a fundraiser at the athletic club. Used to be things revolved around the athletic club. I go over, I corner him. So Tom, when are you going to come to the conference committee? He said, look, if I win the Republican primary, I'm a no. If I lose the Republican primary, you tell me how to vote. Fair enough.
And he wants to vote on a no if he wins the primary.